All right, Shannon. So I believe right now we are live, but like I
Okay.
said, I don't have a confirmation, but I'm going to treat it as if we are.
Okay.
Um, awesome. So, hey, everybody, my name is Trevor Daly with MagMod. We are here for another episode of How I Shot It, and I am super excited. Today, I get to talk to Shannon Cain. So, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm super honored to be on here with you.
I'm excited to have you. I've been seeing your work in the community and you've been absolutely blowing it up. You're amazing. You're super talented. Saw your adventure last week in Colorado. That looked like a blast. I'm kind
Yeah.
of, I'm kind of living vicariously through you, Shannon. So
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to have a little break and do like a little family trip in Colorado. So that was really cool.
that's awesome. So Shannon, I'm going to really quickly jump over to the MagMod page and just make sure we are live. It looks like we are. In fact, Michael's already saying, hey guys, so it looks like he can hear us and see us, so we should be good. I'm going to quickly just share it into, if I can find it here, I was going to share it over to the MagMod community, share to a group, and then that way we can start chatting. Let's just see here, share something. Okay, here it is. Cool. All right, I just shared it over to the MagMod community as well. So with that, Shannon, in order to get started, I would actually love for you to just kind of introduce yourself, tell everyone where you're from. And then as you're doing that, I'm also going to share just a quick screenshot of your website and your Instagram. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Shannon Cain of Shannon Cain Photography. I am a one-woman band. And you can find me at shannoncainphotography.com. I am based out of New Braunfels, Texas, which is in between Austin and San Antonio. And yeah, I've been doing photography full time since January of 2016.
Shannon, that amazes me that you've been doing it full time only since 2016. And because I feel like whenever I hear you guys and you're like, oh yeah, just 2016, I feel like I'm so far behind. I've been doing it for so long, and yet you guys are moving so quickly, and there's no more advantage. Like you could be in the industry 15 years, and you guys that have been doing it 2 or 3 are just like killing it. So I think you're
But
pretty.
really and truly, I owe so much of that to you guys at MagMod because I learned so much of what I know with off-camera flash and just any sort of flash and using the modifiers. And I learned from the How I Shot It videos. And so just you guys providing that opportunity and this community that's full of creatives and full of all of this positivity is just amazing. So thanks.
That is,
I appreciate
I
it.
love hearing that. So you're saying that that the instruction, the education that you picked up has been from literally from these How I Shot It videos, the one just like we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, I had a mentor that I followed, and she had MagMod products. And so naturally, I went out and I bought MagMod products to use, and I had no idea what I was doing with them. I was just like, hey, I've got this flash and my mentor uses them. And so I'm just going to like slap this on my flash and it's going to make me this awesome photographer. And so I was like using them probably for a good year or so without really realizing exactly what these products were doing.
Yeah.
And then I joined the MagMod community on Facebook, and I realized that you guys were doing these awesome How I Shot It videos. And so I started tuning into them, and I just like binged watched all of these How I Shot It videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what this is supposed to be doing. And then I just went out and I started practicing. And so I really do owe you guys a lot from these videos, from what I learned.
You know what I love about that story, Shannon, is that literally, it kind of blows my mind that you were watching these videos and then now you are the feature photographer doing a video.
It blows my mind too. Let's be
I
real.
think that's so awesome. That
Yeah,
makes me
thank
so
you.
happy. And I appreciate you even bringing that up, because if you are watching this and you are like Shannon back in 2016, 2017, throwing the MagMod, not really quite sure what it was doing, definitely go back. I love that advice. Go back to the YouTube channel and,
Mhm.
like you said, binge watch the How I Shot It, because they are wonderful educational opportunities for people just to listen to some incredible photographers talk about how they lit some of their favorite images. So
Yes, and I
yeah.
found other photographers that I loved their styles and I loved their work. I loved what they were doing. I started following them. I started going to different workshops from these photographers that I learned about through MagMod. And so that's why I'm just a big fan.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, Well, let's jump right into some of your images then. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Shannon, there was one that you actually shared just last week and the community was going crazy over. I'm going to pull it up here. And I
Sure.
believe you shot this in the white sands. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
So can you see the full image there?
Yes. Let's pull that.
Awesome. All right. So tell us about this shot here, Shannon. Tell us how you set it up. And we even have a behind the scenes that I look forward to showing everybody as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from the White Sands. This is one of my adventure engagement sessions. That's kind of what I call them. Whenever I'm doing these sessions, I really try to pack super light on all of my gear because we end up doing a lot of hiking, a lot of moving around, and I don't want a ton of gear with me. I need to be able to be quick. I need to be able to pack light, all of that stuff. So for the majority of the shots that I did out at the White Sands, it was just a one light setup, just to keep it simple. With this one specifically, I was just kind of looking at the leading lines. I was looking at the highlights. I was looking at the shadows. And I just kind of saw how these dunes came together with the shadows and the highlights. And I wanted to kind of put some focus on the groom a little bit because I feel like so many times we put a lot of focus on the bride. And so I was like, well, I'm going to bring him to the forefront and I'm going to stick her in the highlight back there. But I wanted to make sure that he was lit too. So with this one, and I believe that we have a behind the scenes too. So you can maybe pull that up in a second. Basically, I just side lit him. I threw a grid on there and I had a sphere and I had a quarter CTO. That quarter CTO was meant to just kind of match that light that was coming in naturally from the sun that was hitting the bride.
I'm going to pull up that BTS. I accidentally chose the wrong screen, so I wasn't able to select it right there, but let me just pull that up. That way everybody can see that as well. Shannon, as I'm pulling that up, I am curious, did you, for this one here, actually, here's the BTS. Did you, let's see, can you see that? Did that go full screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me actually do this differently here. Oh, you know what? I think that last image got cut off on part of it. Let's see. Well, maybe not. I just looked over on my screen here. Come on. This is the only bad thing I don't like about Zoom is when you try to share it, it doesn't just give me like a simple option.
And that's okay if they can't see the behind the scenes. It's just kind of a neat way to be able to see exactly what was happening at that time.
You know, I totally agree with you, and I really do want everyone to see it. Let me see if I can try it one more time here. You know, and while I'm pulling this up, what I am interested in knowing though is what lens were you using at this point?
That one was the 24-70.
It was a 24-70.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I imagine you're probably shooting at 70. Is that right? You're kind of
correct.
Here we go. I got it, Shannon. There it is.
Yeah.
So okay, and so you just had the MagSphere on it. Very simple. I love how your assistant is like completely fully extended, trying to get that up there nice and tall.
And that sand was so hard to walk in because it was just super slippery. So that's why I was like, I tried to walk up that thing and it was very difficult. So I was like, I'm just bringing my lens up here and I'm just going to shoot up here with my live view.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was difficult to walk in that sand for sure.
You know, I'm curious because when you look at the shot, both of them are so perfectly in focus. Do you remember what aperture you shot that at?
22.
F22. Wow.
Yeah.
So you probably had to have your flash at pretty high power then.
Yep, it was at full power.
At full power. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. And it was an 8200. Wow.
Correct.
Crazy. Awesome. Shannon, I love that. I love the fact that you were able to, in fact, let's just go back and share it one more time. I love the fact that you were able to really get both of them in focus. And then, like you said, bring all that focus on him right there. Just phenomenal. I'm going to bring this up just one last time. For some reason, it's being a little bit silly with me, but let's just try to show it one more lifetime. And just, yeah, everything. Is the White Sands, is it just hill after hill of these white sands? Is it a pretty big area?
Oh, it's huge. You could walk out in the dunes for miles. And one of the best parts about that is that there's a lot of traffic whenever you first get into the sand dunes because that's where all the people kind of congregate at. They're like, oh, this is beautiful. But once you start hiking out a little bit further, it's just untouched. And so you don't get any footprints or anything. It's just gorgeous.
Less work, less Photoshop work later on.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Hey, you got some people ringing in here. You got Daryl. Oh, we had Daryl on last week. He's awesome.
Awesome.
You got Federico says he's watching from Guatemala, which is awesome. And
Awesome.
Adrian says thanks for the BTS, and I agree that that behind the scenes is awesome, and it's just so revealing as to like how you're able to put something together when it looks really difficult, but yet it's like, okay, I'm going to put her in the sun, have her lit by that. I'm going to put him in the shadows, but I'm going to have him lit by the MagSphere. Like you said, keep it
Mhm.
fast and easy because you last thing you want to do is lug all that gear around in the sand. Awesome, awesome shot.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Can I share another one?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Jump right in. So Shannon, on this one, now this shot kind of blew my mind. When I saw this, I was like, what the heck is going on here? I'm excited for everyone to see this. I guess instead of saying how I shot it, I'm going to say, what the heck? How in the world did you do this? This is awesome. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this couple is a really fun couple, and they were all about the party. And I really wanted to kind of bring that into their nighttime photos. So all day long, I was kind of like, what am I going to do that's going to make this nighttime image just something special, something that's just kind of fun like them. And so during the reception time, I usually just kind of prep my bride and groom whenever I'm going to go do a nighttime shot. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go get set up for this nighttime shot. I'll be gone for like 10 to 15 minutes tops, but I'm going to go get it all set up, and then I'm going to pull you guys outside or wherever I decide it's going to be at, and we'll be good to go. So for this one, I specifically remembered seeing like the way that the light was hitting the sequin tablecloth. And it just like really inspired me for some reason. But it was just really not well lit. And so I just started playing with it a little bit, and I grabbed my phone, and I turned the flashlight on my phone, and I just kind of like started waving it along the sequin tablecloth and just kind of seeing how it sparkled and where the light was hitting. And I was like, well, I'm going to start photographing this tablecloth and see what happens. So I slowed my shutter speed way down to a second. And I also lowered my aperture to about 18. And then I zoomed in and out as I was taking a photo of this sequin tablecloth.
You
So
like your hands, you got one on the phone, one on the
yeah,
other.
one on the phone. I'm like zooming. I think I had it like propped up against my leg or something. And I'm sure the guests were looking at me like I was crazy because they're like, why is she photographing this sequin tablecloth? Um, but in the process, I made sure that I left like a little dark spot at the bottom. So I photographed the bottom of the tablecloth so that it was hitting the floor. And that dark spot underneath that tablecloth is actually where I layered in camera for the next image. So got that base image of the sequin tablecloth. And then I went and set up two 8200s, and I put grid and sphere. And then I also had a teal gel on one, and then I had the magenta gel on the other one.
Yeah.
And I went ahead, and before I even grabbed the bride and groom, I grabbed the bridesmaid and her boyfriend, and I was like, hey, I need a quick, like, I need to make sure that my lighting is set up. So can you guys just come out here and pose? They're like, yeah, absolutely. And I find that like when you grab a bridesmaid, they're always like, yes, yes, let's do it. They're on your team. Like they want to be a part of it. They want to know what's happening. So I grabbed them and I got them in the shot, and I got the lighting ready. I grabbed my bride and groom afterwards. And they were a little intoxicated at this point. So I was like, maybe we'll just do like a standing still shot for this. So just kind of lit them up at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And did it in camera. And so whenever I flipped the camera back around at them and I was like, okay, well, this is what I came up for you guys, they were like, whoa, hold on, what was above us just now? Like they had no idea what was happening. So
That is so awesome. There, Shannon, it's so interesting. If you're watching this, there was a lot to unwrap there for those who are watching. And what I mean by
sorry.
that is no. Again, it's you made it sound so simple, and really it is when you actually start to put together. But it's so awesome, and I love. So I just want to I want to mention a few things. So this is a double exposure that you did in
In
camera.
camera, correct.
And so you basically exposed, you got the flaming fireworks craziness or whatever that is above them. You got that by photographing the sequin tablecloth
Right.
that was coming all the way down. And so basically it was dark underneath, leaving that area there for you to then double expose a couple
Correct.
10 minutes later or whatever. And then you said you had an 8200 to the left, one to the right, one was cyan, one was magenta, about 10 and 2.
Yep. 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
And I love the part where you mentioned that you took the picture and then since you double exposed it in camera, you're able to pull it, turn it around and show the clients, and the clients' minds are absolutely blown. And they're like, dude, Shannon is the bomb. Everyone go hire her, right?
I hope so. I mean, that's the goal, right?
I'm pretty sure that happened, Shannon, because that is amazing. I love that whole story. I love how you put it all together. And what's so cool about this is that you're able to do something creative that this had to get you excited. And it also obviously had to get the client excited. Do you do a lot of this kind of stuff at weddings?
Yeah, I do. And I kind of selfishly do it for myself to keep things interesting. But also, whenever I do post these types of images that are a little bit different, a little bit creative, it's drawing in the clients that want that kind of stuff. And so that's good for me because that's my ideal client. I want clients that want something that's a little creative, a little bit different, because then I get to continue making things like that. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Hey, Maura just jumped on and she said, Shannon is the bomb.
Aww.
Totally agree, Maura. So Shannon, well, let's jump onto this next image. And this one, it's funny, when I saw it, I was like, did you photograph that during the super moon? Like, this is crazy. But tell us, so there's a couple things that really stand out. One, obviously your eyes get drawn to this moon, this incredible moon. But also I love what really caught my eye on this image is how you didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? I think oftentimes when I photograph a couple, I'm thinking immediately, oh, I got to light them up. I got to make them, bright, and I got to bring all the attention to them. But I love how in this shot, you just use that touch of light, that little kiss of light to kind of bring them out. But I don't know, it makes me feel like they're alone in this romantic little getaway and they're just kind of enjoying their wedding together at the end of the night, just the two of them. I don't know. But that's going through my mind. But tell us about this shot.
Yeah, so I love that you brought that up because really and truly, I kind of wanted to give the idea that the moon was what was lighting them up. And so being that it's a little behind them, it kind of gives that to it. So basically what I did for this one, this is a composite. This wasn't something that was done in camera, although I wish that it would have happened that way. But this was a composite, so it's 2 images. The first base image was of the couple. So I had 2 8200s. I did have spheres and I had quarter CTO on both of them because I wanted to give that same warmth that was there from the moon because it's a nice warm moon that night. And so I had those, light them up. I had her do a little bit of movement because I felt like with them being underneath the moon, they needed to be doing something like dancing or something along those lines. So I love that she's really moving her dress and twirling through and that we captured it so perfectly right there. So that was the first image. And then I sent them off into the reception and I was like, y'all are good to go. Y'all go ahead, enjoy your reception. I'll be in there in just a minute. The next image that I got was of the moon. And then I brought them together in Photoshop afterwards.
So cool. I love that, Shannon. And I love, it's funny, I it didn't even dawn on me that same idea that it's almost like they're getting lit by the moon. That's exactly what it is. I guess it's interesting how our minds oftentimes will see an image and we'll like the image and we'll think, wow, there's something about this photograph that we really love, but we don't even piece it together, and what exactly it is. And then, like you said, you brought out the fact that being lit by the moon. And now the more I look at it, I'm like, that's exactly what it looks like. Exactly. It makes it very realistic because had you been lighting them from the front as well and brought all this attention to them, it would have been obvious that it wasn't, so very, very cool. And I love the action as well. I think that's one thing that oftentimes we tend to forget when we're shooting silhouettes is to kind of create some kind of action or some kind of fun.
Okay.
2 other amazing photographers, Marlise Hartman and Tanya Parada, they're wonderful at this kind of stuff. Jesse and Maura LaPlante, same thing. it's like
Yeah.
when you're doing silhouettes to have some kind of action or something going on. So
Yeah, absolutely.
love it. Shannon,
Hey.
killing it. Um, so let's go on to, we're just flying through. Let me see here. We have image number 4. Ooh, this is a good one. I like this one. I'm gonna build this up. Everyone, you guys, in fact, before I hit, this is like, America's Got Talent or whatever, when you like kind of build up the scene before it happens. Here it is.
Yeah.
Shannon, this is killer.
Yeah. This one was a lot of fun for me. And one of the reasons being is that the groom was kind of open about that he didn't like taking photos. Like I did their engagement session and he was fine, but it was just kind of one of those things that he was just like, he just kind of felt like when you're taking portraits, it's drag. It's not fun. There's not much fun about it. So on wedding day, I really made it kind of a goal of mine that I was like, I'm going to win this guy over. Like I got to do something really fun, really cool. That's just going to be like, okay, that's like taking photos is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So at the reception, he had given his groomsmen these really cool beer mugs. And so they were all just standing around drinking their beers, and some of them were smoking cigarettes and stuff and just hanging out. And I was like, I think now's my opportunity. I think now's the time. Like they've all got a few beers in them. They're like hanging out. So I just kind of grabbed my light stands and I put an 8200 on both sides of them, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I guess that's kind of my setup. Just realizing this. But I put a creative orange gel on one and I put a creative blue gel on the other one, and kind of spaced them out a little bit. And I was like, y'all do something like cheers your beers together. And I was like, really make it fly, just get real enthusiastic with it. So I put the groom in the center with his cigar. So he's the only one smoking the cigar. And I had the guys just kind of smash their cups together and beer went flying. And this was the result. And I was able to turn the camera around again and show them right afterwards and be like, look at this. This turned out so awesome. And the groom and all of his groomsmen were just wild about it. They loved it. And so the rest of the night, I spent a lot of time walking around with the groom because he was like, show them the photo, show them the photo. So I was like, okay, hold on, let me scroll back to it. And so I would have to show people that image. He loved it.
This is one of those images that he had to get blown up as a piece of artwork, put in this
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Wherever.
And all of the groomsmen were like, we want one too. So
that's incredible. So I am curious, when you set the light up on this, because you kind of have maybe 1, maybe 2 shots at this, unless you got to go back and get filled up with beer, because by the time you're splashing it around or whatever. So yeah. I'm curious, did you shoot it a couple times to make sure that light was kind of hitting where you wanted it to? And then
I tested them first without smashing of the beer. I was like, hey, you guys just kind of stand right here. And then we just went for it, and it worked out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all trial by error most of the time. You set your lights up, you think you've got it, and then maybe it doesn't work out. But shooting through it, and even if we did have to refill the beer, like they were so on board at that point that it didn't matter. So
totally. Yeah. It's funny because we've all seen a lot of cigar shots, and I love doing cigar shots, but I've never thought about incorporating this aspect of it. And it really is phenomenal. And what's cool about this shot too, Shannon, is you could easily, I love the color. The color makes it super fun. But you could easily turn this into a black and white image, and it would be just as rad as it is in color. Like there's so much dimension and shadow and everything else to it. Incredible. I love that. So again, 2 lights, that's it, 10 and 2.
10 and 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Love it. I don't know why I just said that in a really high voice.
You're excited. I'm excited.
I am excited. These excited. I love these how I shot it's because I see these incredible talented photographers posting in the MagMod community. And then when I get a chance to kind of pull them into an interview and get to know them a little bit better, and I don't know, I just love it. So it really is a pleasure getting to know you because you're amazing. And so, and I love these images.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I look forward to, you know, at my next wedding saying, hey guys, grab some beer. Let's have some.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. Well, Shannon, let's talk about this one. This is another one. And can I just point out the one thing my favorite thing about this shot is the horse's eye is lit up. That's my
Yes.
favorite thing. I love it. I mean, the couple
Well,
is amazing, but yeah.
I mean, I feel like again, this was kind of a happy accident. I think originally, whenever I was thinking out this image, I wanted the horse as a silhouette completely. And that when you're working with animals like that, you really don't know what's going to happen. They're not just going to pose for you still like humans do. So they're going to move their head. They're going to see what's going on. And with this one, he was actually completely turned the other way. But whenever I started firing my flash, he started looking at the flash and he actually turned towards it. And so this was kind of the result of that. So basically with this one, I did have an 8200. I had a sphere and grid. I love that combo. And then also the quarter CTO that kind of helps bring out that blue sky and stuff too whenever you shift the color. So I have an assistant actually holding a light stand just right outside of that frame from the couple. And she's got it up pretty high so that it's coming down on the bride and the groom and then also catching that eye of that horse.
And you know what's cool too is because it was up nice and high, it also was able to illuminate the hair on the horse.
Yes.
Kind of give the horse that little bit of, you know, kind of breaking them from the background or the sky there. Even the hump or the hide or I don't know what you call it, the rear
Yes.
of the horse even gets a little bit of illumination, which is really cool. So you said MagSphere, MagGrid combo, the stacked combo, which it is super popular combo. People love using that. And then you said you use the CTO as well?
Quarter CTO, yes.
Quarter CTO. Awesome. So for those who aren't super familiar on the quarter CTOs, the reason a lot of times photographers will use them is to get a little bit of warmth on the clients, because oftentimes flashes, they're not really warm light. It's typically kind of a 4,500 Kelvin, something like that. But or excuse me, you want to put something on it to get it down. But the other reason, like you were mentioning, is to kind of be able to push the blues into the sky. Now this looks like it was shot after sunset. Is that right?
The sun it was just setting. Yeah. So this was on a hill. So the sun was like kind of right below that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was a little dark at that point, just a little bit.
That's a cool image. I absolutely love it. Where was it shot at? Was it in Texas as well?
Yeah, in the hill country.
The old Texas hills.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We don't have mountains, but we have hills.
Yeah, hills. Yeah. I love it. Shannon, do you have time for one more?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's do this last.
Nowhere to be but right here, right now.
Well, fantastic. Actually, you were saying that you have a couple kids. Is that right?
3. I have 3 girls.
3 girls. Oh my goodness.
7, 5, and 1. So.
Wait, say that one more time. What?
7 years old, 5 years old, and 1 year old.
Yeah. So 7. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, if you ever want to know what it's like to have 6 kids, I can send you 3.
We're done. Everybody always asks me, "Are you going to have a boy?" And I'm like, "Nope, we're good. We're good."
You bring that up, Shannon, because we had 3 girls first, and then after the 3 girls, I thought we were done as well. And then my wife said, "You know, I really want a boy." Okay, it's kind of 50-50. Like you can't just choose, right? And so she got pregnant, and it was a boy. And so that was nice. So I was like, cool, now we're done. We got 3 girls and a boy. And she said, I think you need the brother. And I was like, what? And so she got pregnant again, and it was a little boy. So we had 3 girls and 2 boys. And then the last part of the story was, so she showed me a diary entry from when she was 14 years old. And she had written in her diary and drew a picture of her future family. It was husband, wife, 3 girls, 2 boys. Right?
Stop.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's really cool. Like, that's crazy. So then the last part of the story, Shannon, was she got pregnant again about 3 years later. And I was like, your story, your 3 girls, 2 boys is like, it's no longer relevant. And she goes, well, actually, let's go back and read the entry. We go back and read it. And she said in her diary entry when she was 14, she said, I had a dream. I saw my future family, or, you know, whatever. I saw 3 girls, 2 boys, or it might have been 6. She put in parentheses, or it might have been 6. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
so
That's amazing.
yeah, it was the back of this family walking away that she drew. So maybe the mom was pregnant. I don't know, but I thought that was really cool. So
That's crazy. No, we're good. My husband wanted a boy, but I'm done. So so we're happy with 3 little girls. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Sorry for taking up all this time sharing that story,
Yeah.
uh, but
I
maybe
think
it will encourage people to write in their diary. I don't know. All right. So Shannon, let's share this last image. This last one's really cool as well. I super like this. When I first saw it, I was like, dude, were you shooting through like a waterfall? Like, what the heck is going on here? So tell us about this shot.
Yeah, so this particular wedding day, it had rained all day long. I mean, just like downpour hurricane type rain. And it even hailed, and then their venue flooded at one point. It was just a crazy, crazy wedding day. But anyway, so like I was saying before, how I kind of go and get my nighttime shot set up before pulling the bride and groom out. So I went outside, I envisioned what I was going to do, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate the rain because that was a big part of their day. So I wanted to do a really cool nighttime rain shot. So I get it set up, and then I went to go get the bride and groom, and I brought him outside. And at that point, when I brought him outside, it stopped raining. Which was like, wait, what? It has been raining all day long. What do you mean it's not raining anymore? Um, and so I was like, well, I'm just going to still have them kind of move around, do a little bit of walking, maybe a twirl or so, and I'll backlight them. So I had the 8200 on there. I had a sphere, and then I also had the teal gel on them, because I just thought, oh, this will look really cool with me backlighting the rain. And so I backlit them, and then I was like, okay, y'all are good to go. Y'all go dance along. And I was just kind of looking through it, and I was like, man, this really, I just want something else for them that's just going to make them remember that part of the day. And so I looked over and I saw a fountain. And I was like, well, maybe I can just kind of play with this image a little bit, and I can do another in camera, multiple exposure, and kind of bring in that bokeh and that rain. So I took my 8200 and I put a half CTO on there. I thought I grabbed a full CTO, but it's what I had. So I just put that on there. I cranked my Kelvin to like 10,000 or something like that. And then I backlit this fountain with a sphere, and I was getting this really cool bokeh. So I started layering it onto that first image of them walking. So I started with the first shot of the one on the side with a fountain on the side of them. And then I layered it again with another image. And I zoomed in and got a little out of focus on the bokeh for the last image, and I put that at the bottom of it. So it kind of created this like fire and ice image, but it's all layered in camera. So then I was able to go again and show them the back of the camera and say like, okay, like this is what I came up with for your nighttime shot. And so they were just, they loved it.
That
Yeah.
is cool. So now what camera are you using when you're doing your double exposures?
So I have a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so basically you'll take one, you'll create a double exposure, and then you'll go shoot another shot and layer that on top of your double exposure. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. Cool. That is awesome, Shannon. Do you find yourself doing that a lot?
I'm not doing it as much as I used to. But yeah, I like to play with things, and I like to do, sometimes I'll do that with fire to really create like a large fire around my clients or something along those lines. But it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Something I learned here on How I Shot It too, to do the multiple exposures.
That's awesome. Well, and I love the fact that you're then taking that and going to show your clients, because like you said, that's the part where you get them excited. You get them excited to see something in camera, and it really shows that, that you're a photographer, like you can nail these things, that you can create art in the camera. You don't have to send it off somewhere and say, hey, put some fancy thing together for me. I don't know. I think
it's more of a challenge for me to do it in camera, and I try my hardest to do it in camera for that reason, just because it is like, feel like a lot of people can Photoshop things, and not to say that I don't, because like the moon one, that one was one that I Photoshopped. But for me personally, it is more of a challenge to just kind of put things together in camera and create something that I can flip around to my clients and say, this is what we created together.
That's awesome. So Shannon, you mentioned the MagSphere a number of times, MagSphere, MagGrid, and gels. It seems like those were kind of the three that I heard repetitively. Is that kind of your go-to modifiers, would you say?
Absolutely.
Is there any way that you keep your gels organized to be able to find what you're looking for? Or are you like me where they're just kind of thrown all over your bag?
I have a Ziploc baggie that's their home. Yeah. And I use the little containers that the MagMod, like the sphere and stuff come in. I will stick the baggie inside there. So it's got a home. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I have the Mag wallet. In fact, I have a couple of them. And then usually I'll be using them. And then I just kind of like throw them quickly wherever. And then, and then one day I'll go through my whole bag and organize it all. And it looks all pretty again. And yeah, that lasts about 2 weddings.
I could probably benefit a lot from the wallet, but for me right now, I just throw it in the Ziploc baggie. That's where they live. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Shannon, it sure has been a pleasure chatting with you. It looks like you're going down. I can kind of see it in the shutters there.
I know. Lighting changed drastically.
No, but it sure was a pleasure chatting with you. And these images that you shared were incredible. You're so super talented. I love having you on here and walk through those photographs. So thank you.
It's been a huge, huge honor to be asked to come on one of these, especially since I watched them. So.
Well, that's awesome. I love that story. And thank you for sharing that at the beginning. That made me happy. So.
Well, really, we owe a lot to you guys for creating this community and creating such a safe place for photographers to come and create. And I really don't think that there's another community that's quite like the one that you guys have created. I don't post in other communities because there's a lot of trolls and there's a lot of negativity, and it's true. But there's not that in the MagMod community. You get nothing but positivity, and that's why it's so special. And that's why I'm such a big advocate.
Shannon, you almost said exactly what I said this morning. We were talking in the MagMod team. We had a kind of a team meeting, and we were going around just talking about things that we're grateful for and things that we've learned. And one of the things I mentioned was I'm grateful for the team at MagMod. Everybody's a very uplifting. That's kind of our culture. We all try to uplift and help each other out. And I mentioned to them, I said, I love that our culture also reflects in our community, because I feel like our community of photographers is constantly trying to uplift and help one another. And just you being here and teaching and sharing is an example of that, of you being uplifting and helping. So you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, excellent. Well, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to jump on Instagram. Go follow Shannon Cain Photography. Let's give her a boost for sharing here. Yeah, go follow her, Shannon Cain Photography. And then your website as well is Shannon Cain Photography. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and appreciate you being here. And before I close out, I just want to tell everyone else, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for joining us here at the How I Shot It's. Each and every week we do these. It's kind of varies on the day and time, just because I want to make sure that I'm aware of the schedules of the photographers that we bring on. So I kind of let them dictate that. So I don't really have a day and time that it's always, but each and every week we do them. And you can always, just as Shannon did previously, you can always catch them on YouTube as well on the MagMod channel. So be sure to go back and binge watch as Shannon did previously. So Shannon, with that, thank you again. You're awesome. I super appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.